Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a birth and postpartum doula who is passionate about helping women enter motherhood feeling informed, supported, and empowered. Join us every episode to learn from professionals, special guests, and moms just like you, ensuring that you know what you need to know and discover things that you didn't know before. I believe in you. Let's doula this and let's navigate the transition of entering motherhood together. Hello. Welcome to this episode. I'm so excited to be here and to be chatting with you. This episode specifically, we're talking about fears surrounding pregnancy and birth and postpartum, and specifically just a few things that I am seeing and hearing, whether it be on social media or in books or stories or with clients in general. And just this ongoing theme of more women being afraid of birth more than ever. And we are consuming more content than ever before. We are getting more information and more resources and more data and facts and stats than ever before. And yet somehow people are feeling more fearful, more overwhelmed, more disconnected, and not trusting themselves. I hear over and over again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know about this. I don't know what I want or what I'm going to want. And while that's okay, it's okay to not know because honestly, birth is a huge unknown. We don't know how things are going to go. We don't know what's going to happen. We can kind of predict, we can kind of assume, we can kind of see trends and data and evidence pointing towards certain ways. But no, we don't know what birth is going to be like. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. We don't know what today is going to be like. And so I think we really need to reshape this headspace and realign with trusting ourselves and trusting birth, because this trend is really coming up and really being more prevalent. And sometimes I feel like the more data I share with clients sometimes, or the more things that we talk about, it just starts spinning and cycling into more fear and more overwhelm. And, oh, I didn't think about that. What if this happens? And these Google spirals that people go down and, well, I Googled this and, I watched all these videos and I heard all this information on social media. And so now there's all these different opinions and all these different thoughts. And when you're working and preparing towards labor, you now have all of these different opinions and perspectives and information that can be really, really incredible and empowering, but it also can cause a lot of fear. So it's kind of like that fork in the road, and you have to choose which path to go down. And so today I really want to talk about that. And I want to help steer you down the path of trusting yourself, believing in yourself, releasing that fear, and not feeling so overwhelmed when it comes to birth. And I just want to cover kind of going on how social media and Google ties into all of this and how we can really move that fear into more informed preparation, and why reconnecting with trust, support, and education matters so much and so deeply when we are preparing and entering motherhood. And I really want to highlight a few incredible women who are in the birth space whose work is really helping to change this conversation. And one of those people is Emma, who is the Naked Doula on social media, and her content around birth education, body literacy, and reducing that fear, I know is helping so many women feel more empowered and feel more informed through a really creative way. So she illustrates some beautiful artwork that highlights birth and different things surrounding birth. And I was honestly trying to get her on the podcast for an interview, and there has just been a lot of difficulty in scheduling, and I would love to interview everybody out there who is doing such amazing work. But I feel like I'm going to be doing a few more of these solo episodes highlighting people and discussing certain trends and topics that I feel like we would discuss if we had a conversation. But I want to really call out and highlight why I would want to reach out to these women and have these deep, meaningful conversations, and why you should be seeking people that are like this. And I hope that I can be a resource for you as well when it comes to really wanting to drop a lot of this fear, stay more positive about birth, and really just get the information that you need to have to propel yourself in the direction that you want for your pregnancy, for your birth, for your motherhood experience, and just moving forward in this journey. So, somewhere along the way, birth became framed almost exclusively as a medical emergency and something that we're just waiting to happen. And we need to get to the hospital immediately, and we need to panic. And birth is being portrayed in these movies and television shows, and even sometimes on social media in some videos. There are, both ends of the spectrum, but there is a lot of this fear being pushed and portrayed, or even just self-reflected fear. So I could watch a video and be like, this is beautiful. This is a mom giving birth. She's so strong. This is so encouraging. And then I look at the comments and people are like, oh my goodness, she's in so much pain. This is so scary. There's a lot of panic. There's a lot of rush. There's a lot of chaos. And it's just wildly different in my perspective versus how other people are perceiving very different situations. And we're watching the same thing. And so, like I said, there is both ends of the spectrum. There is that fork in the road. We are seeing some very calm, informed physiological births being represented, but women are still not trusting themselves or believing that they can do it or that that can be them. We're doing a lot of this self-reflecting of putting ourselves in their shoes, but as ourselves. So we're seeing it, or we're looking back on our own perspective of, well, that's not how it was for me, or I could never do that. And we're not seeing it for just how that person individually is going through it. And maybe it's because of my work as a doula. I have seen all these different births, and I can see each of their different experiences uniquely to themselves. And then I have my own birth experiences as well. And it's very important to disconnect those and see somebody and take what you will from it, but have the ability to pick and choose what you're going to utilize for your birth preferences and your birth plan moving forward. And honestly, fear just spreads so much faster because traumatic stories get more clicks and more shares, and horror stories have the ability to go viral, and it's more shocking and eye-catching and alluring if it's not boring or exciting or nothing crazy happened. But what I really want you to understand is that being informed is super important, and hopefully education and information is not leading you down a path of being more fearful. And preparation should leave you feeling calmer, more grounded, more capable, more supported, excited. I have a range of emotions that clients want to feel that I want it to feel. And every feeling is valid, but hopefully you don't want to be in that fear space. You don't want to be in that doom and gloom, nervous, doubtful headspace when you are considering and thinking of your birth. And like I mentioned before, I think Google is not the best place to be getting a lot of this information. I just had a client recently reach out to me and said, I don't want to Google this. What is your opinion? What can you tell me? How does this work? Here's the highlights. What do you think? And I think that's excellent. I think it's wonderful when you have a resource or somebody that you can reach out to and get information from, whether that is your provider or your doula or a close friend, where you know that they're going to give you the facts, they're going to give you their opinion, but it's not going to be worst case scenario. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. There's no hope, or whatever it might be. Because sometimes that's what spiral you can go down, and that's what road you can explore. And, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say that bad things can't happen. There are complications that can occur. There is medical emergencies. There are scenarios that happen, but most of the time, healthy, non-high risk pregnancies are not an emergency. Birth is physiological. Your body was designed with hormones and instincts and muscles and a system that supports labor. And so that doesn't mean that birth is always easy. It doesn't mean that every labor goes exactly according to plan, but it does mean that fear should not be the foundation of your preparation. And fear should not be coming into the equation because it changes our nervous system. And our nervous system does matter when we are in labor. If we feel unsafe or panicked or stressed, other hormones get in the way, and other hormones have the ability to cause complications and steer you away from feeling supported and informed and grounded, and cause the body to not be able to labor as efficiently as it can. And so this really matters. Your environment matters, your support team matters, the education that you're utilizing matters, and creating that foundation built on trust and belief is so much stronger than this fear-based mentality. And that's the difference that I see between different scenarios, and this difference between even doom scrolling and preparation, this obsessing over what if scenarios and past experiences, just polluting your mind with worst case scenarios. And I get it. I get well, I need to be practical and I need to think logically, and I know what's possible, and I had a different experience. So maybe that's just what I'm in for. I get it. I get that that can be a lot of what is surrounding your expectations and your interpretation of what birth is going to be like. But we can also be more intentional. We can lean more towards what we want birth to be like, not what we somewhere in our mind think it's going to end up like. Because one of those ways leaves you overwhelmed, and the other one leaves you empowered. And intentional preparation might look like taking a birth class that aligns with how you want to feel. It is understanding your options. It is learning different comfort techniques. It is asking your provider really good questions. It's preparing your partner. It is building your birth support system. It's learning how labor actually works. And it's not controlling every detail. It's not laying out every what if scenario and worrying about it. It's about entering your birth space informed and involved in a very active participant of what's going to happen. And if that's something that you're looking for, we do have our Own Your Birth childbirth preparation class, which is fully online, fully self-led. You do have me and Caitlin, who is another doula who has been on multiple episodes of the podcast now. We do our doula talks. You do have direct access to us. We both have 3 kids, 6 kids between the two of us. And we are both doulas who are so passionate about this work and have created that course that is there for you to get all this information in a very clear, outlined way. There are resources and workbooks and journal prompts and so much just leading you towards a birth experience that you can own. Everything. You can go check that out. You can go look at the link. I'll put it in the show notes and you can go get more information on that and utilize that if that is a resource that you are looking for. And I'll also put a link to a free resource that we have that helps you lay out your birth preferences and build your birth plan and really just consolidate all of these thoughts into one cohesive place that you can really help lay this foundation. And going back to this conversation about fear in the birthplace, I really feel like one of the saddest things that many women experience is feeling disconnected from their own intuition during pregnancy and birth. And then that leads into motherhood. And so many women are second guessing themselves. And many people are doing this before labor even begins. I'm hearing things like, what if I can't do it? What if my body fails me? What if I make the wrong choice? And this is why conversations around self-trust matter so much. Self-trust in birth doesn't just mean ignoring medical care or pretending that fear doesn't exist at all. I don't think that we can have a pain-free birth or, it's just never going to be there at all. It's really about asking questions, staying informed, learning all your options, listening to your instincts, and remember that your voice belongs in that room too. A positive birth doesn't necessarily mean a perfect birth, but it's often one where someone felt heard, informed, respected, supported, and involved in the decision making. And that's empowerment. And that's really what I want the direction of birth to lean towards. So if you are feeling this fear and this overwhelm, really sit with yourself and go through all of those what if scenarios. Like one activity that I have a lot of my clients go through if this conversation is coming up and things that they're doing is write it down. What if that does happen? What happens if you do have another cesarean? What happens if you do choose to have the epidural? What happens if you choose to transfer to the hospital? What happens if you go past 42 weeks? What happens? Write that down. Brain dump. Write it all down. If this were to happen, I would blah, 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 blah. Whatever's coming up for you, just write it out, get it in pen and paper. And then I say, write it in a journal, write it in a book, get it all out, and then close that book or burn that piece of paper. Just let it go, release it, surrender to the process, have a plan in place for what if scenarios, and then just put it away. Forget about it. There are so many incredible women helping to shift this conversation around birth and so many perspectives to be more aligned in this empowered state. Like I mentioned, Emma with the Naked Doula, she has done some amazing work around birth education and just making it very visually appealing and fun and empowering. And it's helping women understand their bodies and reduce fear around labor and birth. I know a lot of my clients talk about Ina May, and they have maybe read her book, but seriously, get deep with that. Don't just read pages on a book. Bring up these conversations. Get more deep with it. Find local moms in your community who are leaning towards the same type of birth that you are envisioning and that you are considering. We had our Build Your Village event here, and we have resources on that in our local community where you can find doulas and midwives and educators, lactation consultants, pelvic floor therapists, postpartum professionals, other women who are doing really deep, meaningful work, even just local support groups or local groups, mom groups, walking groups, homeschool groups, bread baking groups. I don't know what it is. Just find a little group of people. We have a big home birth community here. I'm sure that there are local groups and local resources in your area because the environment and the space that you enter into matters. And if you're not finding that group, create that group. You deserve to find the education, support, and informed care that you desire. And I know that it's out there. And I know it can seem like sometimes your algorithm is leading you down the other path in the road, but take a step back, reroute yourself, and go down the road that you want to be more aligned with. Because I know this is what makes the difference. And I know that more women need education and support and nervous system regulation. You need informed consent, postpartum preparation, community, building that village. Because it's not about perfection. It's not about pressure, and it's not about fear-based content. It's not about just reading a book or listening to a podcast or going to a class. It's really about trusting yourself, actually actively listening to that information that is being presented to you and utilizing it in a way that fits for you. You're not meant to do this alone. Birth was never designed to happen in isolation. And there are so many ways that you can be flipping that script and flipping that narrative in your head so that you can be more aligned. Because when we realign with what we want, that direction is clear. That path is visible. And maybe it's not well traveled, but it's there. So if you are pregnant right now, if you are in the birth space, if you are supporting women, if they are feeling overwhelmed, if you yourself are feeling overwhelmed, if all the information that is out there online, on social media is just being too much, then just take a step back, realign yourself, reroute yourself, understand that you do not need to consume everything out there, and you don't need to prepare from a place of fear and a place of panic. And you can and you will focus more intentionally and have more intentional education, trusted support. You're going to ask so many thoughtful questions to your provider and your birth team, and you're going to reconnect with yourself. You're going to realign. You're going to tap into your intuition, and you're going to find more peace when it comes to thinking about your birth. Because birth is a transition, it's a transformation, it's an experience that deserves preparation rooted in confidence instead of fear. And like I said, birth is not going to be perfect. Even if it's something that you look back on and say, oh my gosh, it was so wonderful. It was amazing. There's always something that makes birth exciting and special. And you get to walk into it feeling informed, feeling supported, feeling connected to yourself, first and foremost, and your team on top of that. So let that sit with you. Go check out the Own Your Birth Childbirth Education course if you want a really in-depth preparation course that is going to help you on this journey, or go grab the free resource to just journal a little bit, read over some information, check out some more episodes here on the podcast. I'm so excited that you are here and listening to this. If it resonated with you, please send it to a friend. I love creating these episodes. I love getting my thoughts out to you and helping you prepare for this journey. Honor yourself, trust yourself, utilize the resources that you have, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.